Good morning. This is the video going through the sentences notes. A lot of this should be a review from last year, in 7th grade when you did clauses and sentences. So your two I can statements are explain the difference between an independent clause and a dependent clause, and write a simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentence. So the first three should be pretty familiar, and this is the only new one we're really adding this year. And then we'll review all the other things. So to start, independent clauses and dependent clauses. So independent clauses have one subject, and it's normally a noun, and one verb. So what's a thing and what's a thing that they're doing. The sentence can stand by itself, and the sentence is a complete sentence. So in the examples over here, if we scroll, highlight the subject's red and the verb's green. So Heather likes to run around Mill Pond. So Heather is the subject. That's who the sentence is about. And so this one's kind of tricky. So likes to run around Mill Pond. So run is a verb, but the sentence, you got to think about what the point of the sentence is. So is the point that she runs around Mill Pond? And it's not. It's the fact that she likes. So liking something is a verb. It's something that you do. So we're going to highlight that one green. And then Tony walked to Taco Bell. So Tony is the subject. And he walked. So subject and verb. So independent clauses need to have a subject and a verb. Otherwise, they're not independent clauses. So over here, write two independent clauses and highlight their subjects and verbs. So you can model your sentences after these two. Just double click and then get rid of that little underline. So write a sentence, highlight, and then write a sentence, highlight. Next one, dependent clauses then. So the opposite of independent clauses have one subject or one verb. So one or the other. It's missing one of those two things. The sentence cannot stand by itself, and it is not a complete sentence. So examples are before I go crazy. So again, it leaves you wanting something more. When I get home from school, because I was late for class. So again, none of these have really points or a reason. So they don't have a full piece of information. And it's because of these words at the beginning. So normally dependent clauses have a time word or a conditional word at the beginning, and you'll just learn to identify those. So over here, use two of the dependent clauses to write a complete sentence. So just copy this first one and then double click on this, paste, and then type an independent clause here. That's for you. So take these, make them complete sentences. And then next one, you'll write two independent clauses and two dependent clauses. So this is two more than the examples that you did on these two slides. Again, you can model them after the sentences you've already written. They just can't be exactly the same. And then, so those are clauses. So now we're going to move on to sentences. So simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. So there are 4 different kinds that we're talking about this year. First one is a simple sentence. So a simple sentence and an independent clause are the same thing. They have one subject and one verb. So for example, the boys went to the park. And again, we're highlighting the subject's red and the verb's green. So the boys went. Went is verb. We like pizza. So who, we, what about we like. And then running is actually the subject in this one. And then is a verb. So your is, are, was, all of those are state of being verbs. So be looking out for those. Most sentences that we write, especially simple ones, just have tacos are cool. So tacos are. Running is really boring. Running is. So just like with the independent clauses slide, you're going to write 2 simple sentences and highlight their subjects and verbs. And then you're going to write 3 simple sentences here. So fanboys is something you need to know for compound sentences. And what you're going to do is just click over here and fill in all the words that the acronym stands for. So for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So that each of these is a conjunction, and they are needed for compound sentence. So compound sentences are two independent clauses combined together. They have two subjects and two verbs. They are either combined by a comma and a fanboys conjunction, so one of these words, or a semicolon, which is that. The boys went to the park, but they did not go to the store. So boys is the subject, went is the verb, and then we have the comma but here. So that's our comma and conjunction. And then they, and again, this one's a little tricky, did. So that's a full complete sentence because it has two subjects and two verbs and a comma, but. We like pizza and we like spaghetti. So we, oops, wrong color. Like, comma, and we like. So again, two subjects, two verbs, and a comma and a fanboys word. So over here, you're writing one compound sentence and highlighting both subjects and verbs. So you need to write one of these. And then write three compound sentences on this slide. Sentence type number 3, complex sentences. So you have one dependent clause and one independent clause in any order. So you're looking for words like after, before, because, although, when, since, if, whenever, unless, while, so that, even though, wherever, etc. So all of those words are going to be normally at the beginning of the dependent clause. So whenever I get broccoli, I get heartburn. So highlight, we're actually going to do, no, we'll do this. No, highlight the independent clause red and the dependent clause green. That's what we'll do for this one. So whenever I eat broccoli, so because of that whenever, this one is a dependent clause. So dependent clause green. I get heartburn. So that has a subject, I get, verb, and then so that one is a complete thought and it is an independent clause. I love coming to school because I get to see my friends. So I love coming to school. I, subject, love, verb. So that one's the independent clause because I get to see my friends. Dependent clause because of the because. So any sentence that has because in it is a complex sentence. If I clean my room, so because of that if, and it leaves us hanging, that is a dependent clause. I get to go to the mall, so I get independent. So you're going to write one complex sentence over here and highlight the dependent clause blue and the independent clause green. So just follow the color coding over here. But it should look like this when you're done. And then you'll write 3 complex sentences. And the last kind is compound complex. So you're just looking for a combination of a compound and a complex sentence together. So it has 1 or more dependent clauses and 2 or more independent clauses in any order. So you're looking for words like after, before, because, although, same, all of these words just make dependent clauses. So the example, we're highlighting the dependent clause red and the independent clause green. So just like the other sentence or the other slide. Although I love to go canoeing on the St. Croix River, so that although makes this dependent because we don't know what the point is. So dependent should be green. The weather has been cold and windy, so that is a complete statement. Weather has been red. And I still need to buy a new paddle. So that comma and makes this part the compound part. So it has a fanboy's word and a comma separating two independent clauses. So I still need is an independent clause. Boop, boop, boop. So we have one dependent clause and two independent clauses. So you're going to create your own example just like this over here. So it needs to be compound and complex. And then write 3 compound complex sentences over here. The next few slides, so you're going to drag each sentence to the correct column. So if we scroll over here, Tommy asked for a new skateboard. So is that simple, compound, or complex? It looks like I didn't make a box for compound complex, like the two together. So if you see any compound complex sentences, just leave them outside and then I'll know that you know what they are. So Tommy asked for a new skateboard. Tommy asked. Simple. So just click and drag. Please put the juice in the refrigerator. Simple. And then scroll over here. There are 3 more on this side. So just do that for each of these slides. Scroll and click and drag. And then the last 3 slides, you are going to read the sentence. Tell me, is it simple, compound, complex, or compound complex? And then the last one is, how do you know? So I am so glad I am not in 7th grade because of all the technology. So that is complex. And I know because of the because. So because makes a dependent clause. And complex has a independent and dependent clause together. Just do that for all of them on this side, and this slide. And then turn the slide showing on Schoology when you're done. Hop into the Google Meet if you have any questions. Otherwise, get your sentences and clauses written. And that is it. Let's see if I can stop recording.